yasmin, in which Bhagavataha, of the Lord, netra, from the eye, nyapatan, fell down, ashrubindavaha, teardrops, kripaya, by compassion, samparithasya, who was overwhelmed, prapanne, on the surrendered soul, kardama, arpitaya, placed upon, brusham, extremely, that, why, indeed, Bindu Saraha, lake of tears, Nama, called Sarasvatya, by the river Saraswati, Pariplutam, overflowed, Punyam, holy, Shiva, auspicious, Amruta, nectar, Jalam, water, Maharishi, of great sages, Gana, by hosts, Sevitam, served. Translation, purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation, the holy lake Bindu Sarovar, flooded by the waters of the river Saraswati, was resorted to by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious, but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovar because drops of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection. Was resorted to by hosts of eminent sages. Its holy water was not only auspicious, but as sweet as nectar. It was called Bindu Sarovar because drops of tears had fallen there from the eyes of the Lord, who was overwhelmed by extreme compassion for the sage who had sought his protection. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Kardama underwent austerities to gain the causeless mercy of the Lord, and when the Lord arrived there, he was so compassionate that in pleasure he shed tears, which became Bindu Sarovar. Bindu Sarovar therefore is worshipped by great sages and learned scholars, because according to the philosophy of the Absolute Truth, the Lord and the tears from his eyes are non-different. Just as drops of perspiration which fell from the toe of the Lord became eyes of the Lord became Bindu Sarovar. Both are transcendental entities and are worshipped by great sages and scholars. The water of Bindu Sarovar is described here as Shivamruta Jala. Shiva means curing. Anyone who drinks the water of Bindu Sarovar is cured of all material diseases. Similarly, anyone who takes his bath in the Ganges also is relieved of all material diseases. These claims are accepted by great scholars and authorities and are still being acted upon even in this fallen age of Kali. The Sanstha Bhaktivedanta Parpoto Madhyanatimadan Dasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So after the Lord left the place, Bindu Sarovar, Kardama Muni, he stayed on the bank of that Bindu Sarovar and he was waiting for the time, Tam Kalam Pratipalayan, the time that the Lord has spoken of. very soon a time will come, somebody will come to you. So Kardama was waiting for that time. And then meanwhile, Swayambhu Manu, along with his wife and daughter, he mounted a chariot. And then they were personally traveling all over the earth, trying to find a suitable husband for the daughter. So Prabhupada is mentioning here, although he is the emperor, he has not delegated this work to somebody, but rather he is personally taking a great interest to ensure that the daughter is properly married to a qualified person. Because if there is a mistake in this process, then the daughter would suffer whole life. So that's why they are very keen to ensure a bright future, and that's how they are taking a personal responsibility. And then it is mentioned that they gradually, out of the will of the Supreme Lord, they reach this hermitage of the sage who has completed his vows and is waiting. He reached there, and then that place is known as Bindu Sarovar, Bindu Sara. Tadvai Bindu Saro Nama Saraswatya Pariplutam. It is Bindu Sarovara, and it's a lake, and whenever Saraswati river overfloods, the water comes into this Bindu Sarovar. And then this lake's water is known as Punyam Shivamruta Jalam. It is very auspicious, and also it is holy. Punyam means holy, and then Shiva means auspicious, Amruta Jalam, and nectarian water. Actually, many Maharshi Gana Sevitam, many sages, great sages and saintly persons used to take shelter of such water bodies, such lakes which are directly connected to the Supreme Lord. How this Bindu Sarovar is connected to the Supreme Lord? It is mentioned here, Yasmin Bhagavato Netram. When the Lord came there, when he saw Kardama Muni, the Lord has shed tears in happiness, in an ecstatic mood, and it is said that those tears Ashrubindava Krupaya Samparitasya, out of his compassion. Why Krishna came there? Out of his compassion. And then when he saw Kardama practicing so many austerities and seeking his prapanne arpitaya brusham, when he saw that such a surrendered, exalted devotee, and is seeking the protection, when he saw immediately the Lord has, out of ecstatic love for his devotee, out of compassion, he has Ashrubindavaha, he has shed some tears. So this is the very exalted location, Bindu Sara. It is known as Bindu Sara, that means lake of tears. It is having tears from the Lord's. So this is the whole mood of God. He is extremely compassionate. Krupaya Samparitasya. He is very merciful and then is compassionate. This entire world is the whole material creation is an exhibition of his love towards his naughty children or rebellious children. Even towards his rebellious children, Krishna is very compassionate, and he has created an elaborate arrangement of this world, wherein a chance given to all these living entities to enact various types of their desires, to fulfill their desires. Krishna has created this world. So the living entities, they run after in various directions, trying to seek pleasure in this world. And very innovatively they come up with various plans how they can enjoy this world to their best capacity. This is what we see in this world. Everybody having their own plans, ideas, and some kind of systems. Like in this February month, there is one most inauspicious event comes up, and that's called Valentine's Day. And then we see the all over the world there is a exhibition of so-called love is actually lust, and both young boys and girls, in the name of Valentine's Day, they will roam around. And then there was a study in India by one agency. They figured out that during this Valentine's week, they saw that unusual rise of unplanned pregnancies, almost to the tune of 15 lakhs in 1 year. And what is the age group? 14 to 19 years girls. They're all having unplanned pregnancies. This is the celebration of this festival. It's that Krishna has created this world. Yes. Whatever way you want, you do. That independence has been given, but at the same time, he also given facility to come out of these miserable conditions. Actually, now what happens to those unplanned pregnancies? What happens to those children? What happens to those young mothers? World doesn't think all this. It's a marriage is a responsibility, a great responsibility, and the relation between a man and woman is full of responsibility. But that has been reduced to a frivolous activities, in the name of various events like this. This is the problem. But here you see Kardama Muni, the Swayambhu Manu, his responsibility towards the marriage of his daughter. He is an emperor of the world, but he has not delegated it to somebody, saying that, okay, you get somebody and then we'll marry off. It's a big responsibility. Because whole life they have to lead a pious life, a God-centric life. So there is a goal, there is a purpose for all this. Every activity in the human life has a purpose. And what is that purpose? The purpose is to develop our attraction to the Supreme Lord, who unconditionally loves each one of us. There is one more pandemic in this world today. There are many pandemics. One such pandemic is that many people are going through loneliness. Although there are many people around them, still they feel loneliness because they're absorbed in their mobiles and this and that. Everybody is living a pillar life. Everybody is like a pillar. They don't interact with anybody else. And but actually, if somebody can understand that yes, there is one well-wisher for me, the Supreme Lord is there, and He is always active in my life. He is in the heart of every living entity, and He is always active to retrieve the living entity from this ignorance. Always active. The only thing is that we are not able to perceive His presence. If we, for example, in our body, let us say we eat something, what happens to that food stuff, we don't know, we cannot perceive. But through knowledge we can perceive. So similarly, there is an action, there is a particular activity of the Supreme Lord in the heart. And those things we can realize only by understanding the knowledge. So, here you see Krishna, the Lord, when he saw Kardama in that condition, he became overwhelmed by his compassion. And then even tears came from his eyes. You can see someone, if you are looking at someone who can love you unconditionally, somebody who feels ecstatically for you, that is only the Lord. We can't even understand what is this kind of a response from the Lord. We can't even conceive. We cannot even estimate the compassion of the Supreme Lord. So just by seeing his devotee who is seeking his protection, he became overwhelmed by Ashrubindavaha. So this is this is the nature of the Supreme Lord. So similarly, he knows that the people in this world are going through a lot of they're going through a lot of miseries because of their own thinking, that's all. Why people suffer? Because of their own thinking. If thinking is accurate, if thinking is in line with the God's plan, then everybody is saved. But if the thinking is independent of Krishna's desire, then that becomes a problem. So the whole issue is about the living entities, the thinking. What is his thinking? So first correction is at the thinking level. One has to understand, yes, what should I think in my life? And then if we can come in contact with such a knowledge, then he can think in the proper direction. That is this is the first compassion of the Lord. He reveals his compassion to this world by sending his exalted the sons or gurus or acharyas who come to this world and rectify this faulty thinking of the living entities. The world is existing in its own glory and it has its own reality, but because people don't see this reality, they think in their own way, then that creates trouble. For example, if somebody sees, some object, somebody sees some object as enjoyable, but the object is not really enjoyable, there is a faultiness in his thinking. So Maya means this: something is there, but you think something else. This is called Maya. For example, marriage is there. It's a life of responsibility. It's a duty. It's a sacred duty. But instead, somebody thinks, no, this is a license for enjoyment. See, marriage is there, responsibility is there, but your thinking is different. Instead of thinking that it is a responsibility, it has to be handled carefully with a lot of patience, tolerance. Because relationship between 2-3 individuals is so difficult, particularly nowadays. Everybody has their own independent thinking and becomes so difficult. And so, if we don't properly think as per the truth, then that creates an illusion. And illusion means always it results in misery. Any illusion it creates misery. This is the problem. So that's why the God's first compassion on the human being is that He sends exalted devotees. And so when Prabhupada came, actually Lord Himself comes in His most compassionate form, in the form of Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, He made the whole process very simple. Actually, these are all very, unlimited compassion of the Supreme Lord. It is so difficult to come out of our illusory concepts. Very, very difficult to come out. And then after you come out of the illusory concepts, then you have to understand who Krishna is. And then after understanding who Krishna is, then you have to understand what is love of Krishna, how to love Krishna. You can see how layers of difficulties are there even to reach God. So Mahaprabhu has made it simple. He said simply, you chant holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. And then he says, when you chant this mantra, he is saying, you will develop love of God. You can see that he skipped all these steps. Studying the Vedas, understanding, because Vedeshu Durlabha. It's not easy to understand God. After understanding God, then you have to know how to love Him. That's one more. Is it a sentimental stuff? Or what is the practicality? Nobody knows. Mahaprabhu has reduced all this. Just simply he said, chant Hare Krishna. That Mahamantra and Sankirtana, we are not able to understand. The depth of what it is, none of us know. Yatadrushi tava krupa bhagavan mama api. My Lord, out of your compassion, you have given this facility to me, but duddhaiva idrusham ihajani nanuragaha. But we don't have any attachment to this chanting of Hare Krishna and then hearing it with devotion. Because the Lord has simplified and made it very easy for us, it doesn't mean that it has no value. This is the thinking, again this modern thinking is like, if something is available like that, very easily available, we lose value for it. And as soon as we lose value for it, we start minimizing it. This is the phenomena. If you lose value for something, then you start minimizing. How you minimize? It comes out in your mouth. You minimize minimizing words. You start commenting loosely, what is there, what is this, what is this. And as soon as we start minimizing in our words, then we'll get into the next stage of committing offenses. So when there is our value goes down, and then finally what happens is we lose that facility. Something which is available nicely, and then we don't give proper importance and start commenting and minimizing, and if we don't take up seriously and then become complacent and then start commenting or minimizing it, one day we lose this. This is the nature. So familiarity breeds contempt, means this is the understanding. Anything which we become familiar, we start losing value for it. And then we start commenting, what is this, what is that, what is this, what is that. And slowly the tendency will increase and increase. One day it will come to a scenario that you will lose all these facilities. This is the danger. So then how do we maintain our great understanding of this process or the facility that Lord Chaitanya and Prabhupada has given to us only by reading these books. Otherwise, in one day we'll forget the significance of all this. That's the power of the Maya that is around us. In one day, we can forget everything, the significance of all these things that are available to us. That's why we have to study every single day. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Otherwise, we are surrounded by Maya, and Maya's influence is very strong, and very quickly we can become familiar with all these things, and we can lose value. Our goal should be to reach this exalted personality, the most compassionate personality. Before we conclude, Mahaprabhu's mood was that he said his mission is very simple. It has only two angas. One is Janma Sadhakari. First of all, you have to perfect your life. You become steady, you do your sadhana, study the books every day, and then do the authorized duty. Janma Sadhakari means you perfect yourself, and then Karo Paropakar. Our movement is simply meant for Paropakar. Para Upakar means welfare activity of others. So as long as we remain in this mood of helping others, showing mercy to them, then we are safe. Actually, in the sadhaka stage, we have no mercy of our own. What mercy? We are all always thinking how to exploit others. What is this mercy? We cannot. So we have to assist the spiritual master in his missionary activities, in his compassion activities. That's all. So that's why when we do our duty, we are becoming part of the compassion of Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya. This is the secret. That's all. Just by doing our duty. And the happiness formula is that just limit yourself to your duty. There is a boundary, physical, mental boundary or intellectual boundary. What is that boundary? The duties that are being given to us should be worshipped. They are very sacred, auspicious duties. They are all devotional service to God, Krishna. And then so let me focus fully in contemplating on my duty, and then ensure that the movement goes on nicely. And then if it comes to the other devotees' duties, I will try my best to help and cooperate so that the other devotees also will become successful. This is the mode of the devotees. I should not do my duty at the expense of somebody else. There should be a cooperation and encouragement within the community so that we can sail through the influences of the Maya. So this is the thing. It's a very exalted work that is in our hands, whether we know or not. A lot of work has come into our hands. And what is our work? Simply do welfare activity all day by doing our services nicely. We'll stop here. Any questions? Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
శ్రీకృష్ణుణ్ణి చేరుకోవడానికి, కృష్ణ భక్తిని అందరికీ అందించటానికి బృందావనం వైపు ఉరకలేస్తున్న యమునోత్రి. విష్ణుపాదమే తన పుట్టినిల్లుగా కైలాసం చేరుకోవడానికి పరుగులు తీస్తున్న గంగోత్రి. కురుక్షేత్ర ఘోరహత్యా పాపం శంకరుణ్ణి శాంతపరచడం లక్ష్యంగా పాండవులు నిర్మించిన కేదార్నాథ్. సమస్త సాధు పుంగవులకు, ఋషులకు ఆధ్యాత్మిక సాధనకు స్ఫూర్తినిచ్చే నరనారాయణులను నడయాడిన ప్రదేశం బద్రీనాథ్.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణవాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 91